She sat in her favorite comfy chair, staring into the blazing fire, wrapped in the familiar embrace of its soft arms. Arms that were so worn from many nights of doing the same thing as she was doing right now, except this was Christmas Eve, a special night, an expectant night, a lonely night, repeated 2 times since her husband John had passed. In her hand, she held a small glass of red wine while observing a plate of sugar cookies wrapped in colorful Christmas cellophane made by a dear friend especially for her at Christmas. She had labored over a decision to put up a Christmas tree at all this year, but watching the twinkling lights and beautiful ornaments accumulated over almost 3 decades of Christmas past with her beloved John, she was so glad that she did. It had only been 3 years ago, less a month in January of that year, that John had passed suddenly, with no warning, leaving her feeling alone, frightened, and confused. But being the thoughtful man that he was, he had made all the provisions necessary after retiring for such an event as this, which at some point in their lives would come, but they had both hoped that not this soon. They had been in love with each other and lovers for 29 years. 29 good, solid, amazing, and happy years. So much in love were they together that John had said if he passed before her, that he would let her know he was nearby and still around in her life, even if she was not able to see him. He would give her a sign, and they both agreed that if that was to happen, it would be on Christmas Eve. She in turn thought that this would be the most amazing Christmas present that she could ever receive. She had been a believer in the birth of Christ, the death and the resurrection, so you could have called her a Christian, although she didn't go to church very often, and when she did, found it slightly unfulfilling. John, on the other hand, had been very, very much into church life, and had been on the worship team as a leader in the music ministry, and had been fully involved trying to make friends along the way. They lived in an out-of-the-way area, basically in the bush, with electricity and running water and all the amenities, but still in the bush. On a snowy, beautiful Christmas Eve with snowflakes gently falling and a half-moon gleaming brightly through the pines, it seemed the perfect time to contemplate what had been and what was to come. She looked around her at their small but cozy and endearing log house. She looked at the various memorabilia that she had, pictures of her and John, pictures of the kids and the grandkids, a few ornaments that she had set out that they both loved at Christmas time and that had been used over and over and over again. She gazed lovingly at these Christmas pictures, including just her and John, as well as her and the grandkids. She cherished these pictures. She cherished the moments. She cherished life as it had been at that point in time. Tonight, on Christmas Eve, her mind had become mildly obsessed with the promise that John had made a little over 2 years ago. So she sat, looked at the Christmas tree with its twinkling lights, gazed out the window at the snow falling gently on the ground, looking at the roaring fire and holding a glass of red wine in her hand, with that plate of sugar cookies that normally she would have guzzled down in 2 seconds flat if John had been there. On and on. The minutes ticked by. She decided to put on a Christmas movie. She wanted to put on a Christmas movie that was funny and didn't cause her too much emotion, but always finding at the end of any Christmas movie that there were poignant moments, beautiful feelings, and times of remembrance. She looked at the time. It was 11:12. Up until this time, waiting and waiting for that promise to come true, she had not seen or heard any indication that John was near her. Oh, how she wished for that small miracle. Oh, how she wished she could transport herself back in time. Oh, how she wished. With each moment that crept by and the closer it was getting to Christmas Day, the more she found her trust in her belief of a miracle was beginning to wane. The thoughts and the memories came flooding back. Why did this happen to me? The anger, the frustration, the poignancy, the joy of Christmases gone before. All these things flooded into her mind. She poured herself another glass of red wine, opened the stove door, and put on another log. She was planning on waiting until at least 1 hour after midnight before trundling up to the loft in their cabin and falling asleep in a light wine haze, and anticipating waking in the morning by herself in the home that was theirs together, and waiting for the kids and the grandkids to call. Then it happened.